We have new episodes dropping every other week. You can find them early on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, or wherever you find your podcasts, or find the link below for our Megaphone landing page, and we will see you around the campfire. Hey, it's Paul.
Hey, it's Jess.
Welcome to Campfire Ashes. Now pull up a log. Let me tell you a story. Rose and Tanya stumbled around the casino in a drunken stupor. The free drinks at the slots kept them from anything that resembled sober. The night was a blur of spinning cylinders and spinning bar stools. The call of the night was strong, but the call of their comically full bladders was stronger. They stumbled off the gaming floor and through the corridors, screaming at each other on the top of their lungs, "Go piss, girl!" And they meandered further through the corridors and finally found a bathroom door. Tanya screamed, "This is Jersey!" and kicked the door in like a proper Spartan warrior. Her heels slipped from beneath her and slammed into the marble floor. And Rose laughed so hard that she fell against the bathroom door, and it gave way under the weight, and she fell into the room. Her heel kept the door from completely closing behind her, and Tanya nudged the door open with her head and crawled in on all fours, giggling. They managed to wedge themselves between the wall and the narrow hallway and worked their way back up to their feet. They finally stumbled into the brightly lit bathroom, complete with a petite bathroom attendant dressed in a crisp red bellhop-style outfit sitting on a marble counter. She smiled at them and hopped off and started organizing her rows of lotion samples, perfume bottles, and several brightly colored jars of tampons. Along the edges of the mirror were 2 rows of toilet paper, one with red accent designs and the other with blue accent designs of the casino's logo. They popped into the stalls and struggled to get their underwear down without tipping over or falling and getting stuck between the wall and the toilet. And they flopped down the toilet, and even without seeing each other, managed to pull out their cell phones and start giggling while texting and memeing each other in the stalls. And about 20 minutes later, they were ready to get back to their drinking. Tanya pawed at the toilet paper dispenser, hitting the empty cardboard roll over and over again. And she reached under a stall, frantically waving at Rose. "Bestie, I can't wipe." Rose snorted, "Girl, you can't be that drunk." And she said, "No, there's no paper." And Rose laughed and then reached in the dispenser and realized that she had the same problem. "I'm out too." As if beckoned, the attendant reached under the stalls with a set of red and blue papered rolls and shook them to get their attention. Tanya grabbed the blue roll and Rose grabbed the red. The other rolls disappeared under the stalls and everything seemed normal. And then Rose heard shoes skitter off the sink. Rose in her stupor started picking at the sealed layer of the roll, and even sober, she always seemed to destroy like 10 or so sheets trying to get the roll to like start unraveling. And she heard rustling and looked down to see Tanya's legs like kicking and loud grunts, and she laughed and put the toilet bowl to her mouth like a bullhorn. "Don't forget to courtesy flush." And after a few moments, she heard the relaxing sigh, and Tanya's legs went slack. Without thinking too much of it, she managed to get hers unsealed and get the roll of toilet paper and take a large wad of paper. She wiped and repeated the same struggle to get her underwear back up. She straightened her dress and stepped out of the stall. And Tanya was still in her stall with the door closed. She cackled, "Pinch it off. We gotta get back to the floor. I feel a hot streak coming on." She turned around to see the attendant standing uncomfortably close to her with a big grin. She gestured over to the mirror. Rose stumbled to the sink to check the selection of lotions. As she stepped up to the sink, the woman put her hands together as if to pray. And in one fluid motion, her hand went up in the air, and then her hand came down blindingly fast along Rose's back. And it felt like a gust of wind. She felt her clothes go slack, and on instinct, her hands pinned the fabric to her chest to keep the dress from falling off. And she turned to the mirror to see what happened, and she screamed out in shock and sudden pain. The entire back of her dress was sliced off, down to her waist, and then a thick layer of her back peeled away and sloughed off with a disgusting sound, kind of like Velcro being pulled apart. The section of skin kind of dangled and swayed as Rose started to go into shock. The attendant smiled back. "How do you like your cape?" Rose stood paralyzed, screaming Tanya's name, and the smile curled even more as the attendant pushed the stall open. Tanya sat on the toilet, lifeless, her face etched in confusion, and even through the pain, Rose could see the indents of handprints around her neck, hands still clutched around the blue-printed toilet paper. The room spun out of control as the blood loss overtook her, and she fell to the floor, managing to land on part of her detached back. A few minutes later, she was gone. The attendant smiled and picked up the edges of her face. It peeled off. It looked like a very plain white mask. A strikingly handsome man walked out of the bathroom, closing behind it and locking the door and putting the out of order sign back in place.
I have some thoughts.
Do you now?
First, is there a reason this had to happen in the bathroom?
Yes, very much.
Okay.
It had to happen in the bathroom.
Okay, before you continue. 2, did you intentionally red pill, blue pill that?
No.
Because you did.
Also, very intentional.
Did you, and then third and final thing before you get into this and tell me what I'm pretty sure you're going to tell me what this is, did you intentionally have Rose pick the red one?
No, that was just
Coincidentally, Rose
that was
red?
just yeah, that was just coincidental.
Because, good shit there.
So
So,
this
alright, go ahead.
is
Tell me what I'm pretty sure I already know what it is.
the Akamanto.
I mean, I might be right, but I'm not familiar with the name.
Also known as the red cape, the red vest, the akikami, or the akikami oikami, or English red paper, blue paper.
Wow,
So
no, I have no idea what this is.
okay, so this is
I
a
thought you were going
Japanese.
to tell me it's a shifter.
No, this is a Japanese urban legend
Ooh,
of
exciting.
a person with a red cloak who appears to people who use public toilets in public or particularly school bathrooms. In
Oh,
the
okay.
last,
So
go
I
ahead.
already I already don't like public restrooms. You're just making it worse.
Well, as long as you don't go to the last stall in a
Okay.
row, you're fine. Because this is
Okay.
particularly where this happens.
So bring your own TP and don't go to the last stall. Got it.
Yes, if you want to survive this thing, either bring your own toilet paper or do not accept toilet paper from this thing. So basically, what happened is what happens with the Akamanto. The Akamanto appears to people that are using public restrooms and offer either red or blue toilet paper. And depending on which you pick is how you die.
So you're
If
just
you
gonna die no matter what on the toilet?
most likely, but
Oh my
not
god.
necessarily.
What a
If you
mess.
if you choose the blue toilet paper, the Akamanto strangles you until your face turns blue and you die.
Oh, great.
If you choose the red paper, one of several things happens. Either the Akamanto slices your throat and the blood pours out over your chest, creating a red vest, or it
Ah.
slices down your back and creates a red cape.
Ah. Awful.
It's very, very creepy. So it's very weird that like it it's you're going to die, but I'm going to give you the option of how you want to die. But I'm not going to tell you how it's going to happen. I'm just going to offer you two completely ambiguous choices, and what happens.
Yikes. Don't love that.
The only way to survive is to completely ignore the spirit. You cannot accept either offer. If you do, you die.
So you heard it here first, folks.
If a
Don't
person
accept
is
either.
if a person's offering you toilet paper in the next stall over, make sure it is white and not red or blue.
Or don't take it and just throw that underwear out when you get home. Because at least you'll make it home.
I mean, yeah.
Or just always have TP on you.
I mean, that could work too.
My IBS friends, you get it? Always have TP or like, flushable wipes, but don't actually flush those. I don't care if they say they're flushable. Don't do it.
They're not. They're not.
No.
Most pipes in the U.S. can't handle that.
No, just like, and this is like, I'm calling myself out here. Um, I learned very late in life that you don't flush tampons.
Yeah,
Like,
probably you shouldn't do that.
yeah, like much later in life than I should have learned that.
Yeah,
So
like
like, don't
I'm
do it.
not a woman, and that feels like you probably
Yeah,
shouldn't do that.
just don't do it. Do not.
But anyway,
So yeah,
the
don't do it.
Akamanto is usually described as a male spirit or yokai that haunts public schools, public school bathrooms, or public bathrooms.
Why
It is
specifically? What happened?
it is said to haunt female bathrooms specifically, and more specifically, the last stall in a bathroom.
Why,
Uh,
bro?
we'll get there. They typically wear a red cloak and a mask that hides their face, and is always described as someone being handsome or charming underneath the mask. Apparently, what had happened is a very popular guy in school was being hounded by all the women in the school, and he needed a place to hide. And instead of hiding in the men's bathroom, tried to hide in the women's bathroom, in the last stall of the women's bathroom,
Okay.
and disappeared. No one saw them. And then several weeks later, found him.
Why?
I guess he went there and starved.
Why did he hide for so long? What are you doing, bro?
That I don't know. Like it's an urban legend, and there's not really like a clear like this is where this came from. It's really interesting because like most of the stuff is particularly in like Japanese folklore. There's typically there's a lot of information on the lore on where this came from or where this kind of stuff. This is really like very much the only real story. Like very
Yeah.
popular dude in school, hides from all the women, forgets to come out, dies in the toilet.
Sad.
Yeah.
I have no further thoughts. It's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
But also stop murdering people.
This kind of came about in the 1930s as like a schoolyard rumor. In that time, manto was referred to as like a sleeveless kimono style jacket, kind of like a think of like a jacket vest type outfit. And in modern interpretations, manto means cloak or cape.
Oh, okay.
So because of that, you get the differences in what the akamanto would look like. This started in 1935 in an Osaka City elementary school, and he was just kind of like there was just a rumor of this guy in a red cape or red cloak or a red vest hanging around in the basement, and then eventually in the last stall of the girls' bathroom.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This spread in the 1940s and even went as far as the Korean Peninsula when it was under Japanese control.
Wow.
Yeah. The Akamanto has been in several video games, particularly Castlevania.
I don't know. Like, I know very little about Castlevania, but I just had a feeling you were gonna say Castlevania.
Yes. It's enemy known as the Killer Mantle, which is basically based on the Akamanto legend. There's a 2019 video game called the Akamanto. There's apparently in Squid Games, there is a choice that is referred to in the idea of the Akamanto, where one of the contestants is offered red or blue paper.
Yes. Did you
I
watch
haven't seen
Squid
it.
Game?
I have not.
Paul, what are you doing?
I just haven't been. I'm so far back on all of my Netflix watching. Like, I'm so far behind.
Well, Squid Game is absolutely worth it.
Like, I haven't watched Squid Games. I haven't watched Arcane. I haven't watched The Witcher. I haven't watched um uh what's the Umbrella Academy. Like, I haven't watched any of that stuff yet. Like, I'm so far
I
behind.
haven't watched Witcher season 2, but Arcane is great and Squid Games is great. And I haven't watched Umbrella Academy yet either. Admittedly, I'm very behind on that. But fix that. Watch Squid Games. It's very good.
So I will read this from the yokai.com. So the appearance is, we know what the appearance is. Many stories follow the general pattern. While school late at evening, a student suddenly finds himself in desperate need of toilet paper. The closest restroom available is older and less well kept, separated by the rest of the school, and is rumored to be haunted. And once he goes in, he hears a strange voice. Do you want red paper or blue paper? The student answers red paper, and a moment later is stabbed and sliced up so violently that the blood sprays everywhere, soaking his body and making it look like he's wearing a bright red cloak. Sometimes later, apparently not seeing this giant pool of blood, goes into the same bathroom and asks red or blue paper, and then the student's blood is sucked out of their body, leaving them dead and blue face on the floor. And other variations exist, basically like being choked, or in that case, kind of thing. You're strangled until your face turns blue. Some answer red paper, and then your skin is flayed that hangs off your back like a red cape.
Yikes.
Yes. In less violent ways, in other versions, instead of being killed, the student's skin will turn to the color permanently for whatever color he chooses.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And with the urban legends, there's the way that people have gotten at is by clever students bringing their extra toilet paper with them. And then it sees this, and it's just like, meh, it leaves. Like, it quite literally gets mad that you brought your own toilet paper and leaves.
Man, I couldn't fool them. No murdering spree for me today.
Yeah, there's also a version with yellow paper. And if you choose the yellow paper, you're pushed into the urinal, and it is a yellow urinal filled with pee, and you were held there until you drowned.
Okay, 1, ew, and 2, why would you accept yellow toilet paper?
I don't know.
Weird.
But again, like, if this talks about it too, about the tracing of this urban legend is difficult because it just kind of feels like it's a schoolyard thing that appeared in the 30s. Like, there's no real, like, this is like hundreds of years of storytelling. This just seemed to kind of like appear one day. It just kind of like happened. Like, some kid in the schoolyard talked about it, and that's where it really came from. Like, there's really not a thing. Like, we've done Japanese yokai several times on the channel before, and there's usually like, hey, I have so much lore, I could do like 3 episodes on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like this is going to be one of our shorter episodes because there's really not that much to talk about. It's such an interesting concept, and it was really fun to write this story, but there's really not a lot here. Like, it's this one story from the 1930s, and there's really not a lot of deviation on this. Maybe some deviation based on the interpretation of a word in the 30s versus the interpretation of the word in current times, but that's about it. And it's basically just like the the way you die are usually relatively close to the same, but general things. One, you bleed to death, or the other, you're choked to death, depending on your
Or
paper.
drowned and pee.
Or or the yellow one, the weird yellow one.
All are terrible. I hate them all.
But like again, like lexicon now, when you talk about the Akamanto, it's talked about as like wearing a cape because like that's what the word means. But in the 1930s, it was much more of a shorter sleeveless jacket, and that's why I use mine as like an attendant. I've never been in a women's bathroom in a casino. I don't know if you have attendants, but like we have attendants in some casinos where it's like a dude with a collection of stuff. So so I don't know if you have anything like that in the women's bathroom, but my reasoning was like, well, our two people are completely drunk, so they're not going to question it. So even if like that doesn't happen, which I doubt it does. Do you guys have bathroom attendants in casinos, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I was gonna say strange that it's a guy, because I've never really paid attention, but like anytime that I've been in a place that had a bathroom attendant, it was usually another woman.
Well, yeah, in a women's
But
bathroom.
yeah,
And that's
but
why he was
yeah,
wearing a mask.
yeah,
That's why he was wearing the mask, because otherwise it wasn't. And that's another
yeah.
thing that is
I don't think it has to be a woman. I think they just tend to do that because, it
safety.
makes sense. Yeah, because it makes sense,
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's basically what happened. It's typically a man, but he's always wearing a mask. So that's why I was just like, well, let's do like a shape shifting where that mask looks like a woman, and that's why it can kind of get there. But yeah, it's such a weird thing. It's such an interesting thing, and I was looking at things to do, and I was just like, this is weird. I could write something with this, and it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do this one because it's like such a weird off kilter kind of thing, and it's such a very specific thing that has to happen. Like you have to be in a women's bathroom, or specifically a women's bathroom in a school, and you must go to the last stall in that bathroom, and then you were presented with two choices and you have to choose one or the other, but if you refuse, nothing happens to you. Like it was just kind of fun that it was just like there's so many things that have to happen with, and then when you don't, like when you deal with like fairy circles, for example, it's just like, nope, just gotta walk in them, all shit happens.
Yeah.
Like everything else, like you only got to do like one thing, and that was the thing that like was just like, oh, you're dead now. Whereas this one is just like, you need to do 30 things, and if you do all 30 of these, then you die. But if you miss any of them, you're good.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
So as far as like all the things that we've gone and we've dealt with up to this point, this to me is the most complicated and most convoluted of the like lore behind what you have to do, or what things have to happen before like it triggers it or kills you. Like what was yours? The Snow Princess. What was I can't remember what the name of the yokai was. Yeah, the Yokiana. Like the Yokiana was just like, it's cold out and you see it, and then like you're screwed. Or like all these other things, it was just like, hey, if you're bad, this is going to happen to you. Or hey, if you didn't do this, this is going to happen to you. Whereas the Akamanto, it's just like, hey, here's a checklist and you need to check literally all of these boxes, and then you're screwed. But if you missed one,
typically these things,
yes,
and you're screwed.
Mm.
But if you miss one, yeah, I guess you're all right. I guess you live.
Yes. So people with OCD, you're screwed. Everybody else, you're fine, because you're probably not gonna do all of these things.
Unless you write yourself a list.
Yes, unless you write yourself a list.
That.
Or if you're just one of those paranoid people that brings your own toilet paper with you, or tissue papers, and then you're fine again.
Don't call me out like this.
Do you bring your own toilet paper? Or like extra toilet rolls? Or not toilet rolls, but do you like bring like toilet paper with you? Or tissue paper?
Occasionally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't bring like toilet paper with me. I have like flushable wipes on me, which again,
Don't
don't flush
flush.
them. But yeah,
But
no,
I mean,
I usually tend
in
to have those
casinos
on
you
me.
probably do. Like those public bathrooms, like the suction in a public bathroom, you're probably fine.
I still wouldn't, but it's just okay. Like yeah, so again, I don't really love public restrooms, so like yeah, I tend to have those on me because it just makes me feel more clean.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're not gonna fall prey to an Akamanto
Yeah, I will not.
because yours was like, hey,
I also
need some
don't
toilet
usually
paper.
opt for the last stall, so I think I'll be okay.
Also, I doubt you talk to strangers. So like, if a stranger just like reached under your stall, I have a feeling you would like kick the hand.
Yo, do you want to hear a funny story about a stranger reaching under a stall?
Oh my god, this actually happened to you?
Yeah, so it's not like this, but it's funny. Um, this only ever happened to me one time. It was, God, like easily 10 years ago, if not like longer. And we were in an airport, and I had just gotten to the bathroom, like barely made it, was bursting at the seams, really needed to pee. And we were like, it was a layover. It wasn't like we had a rush to go anywhere. And this child, who was probably like 2 years old, just like crawled under the door into my stall.
What the?
And I'm like, hi, where are your parents? like like this little child just crawled under the door into my stall and was just staring at me, and I was like, hi. And they didn't say anything. And then I don't even remember their name, but like their mom was like calling for them, and then they crawled back out under the door. And then I just sat there for a while. So by the time I, like pondering what the hell just happened. So by the time I left the bathroom, that child was no longer in the bathroom, and I never saw them again. But yeah, the one and only time that I ever had like a strange encounter where somebody reached under a stall, it was like a 2-year-old that just crawled into my stall, stared at me in my face while I was peeing, and then crawled back out.
I commend you for not kicking that in the face as it was like coming under the stall.
I wasn't paying attention. Like I was bursting at the seams. I really had to pee. So it was one of those like really relieving, like, because like I also, am a lady. So like I had to cover and hover. I can't just stand and pee, So like I was like, oh my God, I really gotta go. So I like finally had that. And like when I say cover and hover, I mean like my butt does not even touch like the seat cover in a public restroom. Like I don't like my feet are planted firmly on the ground. So I couldn't
Okay.
kick this kid if I wanted to. So I'm basically just like hunched over peeing. And this kid just shows up and I'm like, hi. Where are your parents?
So like you don't do that even if like they give you like the toilet bowl seat covers
No, like I put the seat cover over it and I
and you
put like toilet paper, but no, I won't touch it.
really even with the toilet bowl seat cover thing.
Yeah, I'm not taking chances.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like the paper dispenser that you can
Yeah,
put
so it's
over.
like yeah, or like the real fancy ones that have like the one that changes itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I'm glad that's there, but no, I still won't even sit because I'm like the ones that change themselves, I'm like, okay, there's a possibility that this like malfunctioned and this is still dirty.
Mm.
Um,
I don't trust the ones that change themselves because like I've seen people like put poop on like
yeah,
one side
just
of
so
it
that
and it
yeah,
like just kind of like
yep,
just
hmm
yeah. Like
exactly.
that I
And
wouldn't
then,
trust, but I would trust like the paper
well, I don't because I'm like, how do I know that the person that loaded these papers in here didn't have dirty hands?
because it's a box.
Well, how do you know the people that put them in the box didn't have dirty hands?
Well, how do you know the people that put the toilet paper in in the things didn't have dirty hands?
Correct. But again, that's why I have the wipes. Which I mean, yes,
You're
you could
very
go as
paranoid in the bathroom.
you could go as far as, well, how do you know the wipes are sanitary? But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, I know it's wild. I'm not one of those like crazy people that like has to like basically bleach their entire hotel room before they can relax. But yeah, when it comes to public
But
restrooms,
close.
yeah, like when it comes to public restrooms, I'm just a little paranoid.
I can see that.
And that was like a pre-COVID thing. That's like my entire life. I have not trusted a public restroom. And you want to know why it started? And it has nothing to do with cleanliness. When I was a kid, one only time I sat down, like, you know, put the seat cover down and sat down. When I got up and I looked into that toilet, there's a spider crawling in the bowl.
Oh, yeah, no.
And it could have bit me. It didn't, but it could have bit me. And ever since then, I'm like, nope, there are bugs in there. And I'm not even like severely afraid of spiders like I used to be.
Well, at least they don't have
Also,
wings.
sorry, Mom, because I don't think I ever told you that story, and now you're gonna hear it.
At least they don't have wings on them. You
Sorry.
psychopath.
Sorry.
You're not sorry.
I'm not. I said what I said. I can't take it back.
So yeah, that's the story of the Akamanto. This is
Like
not
me,
like
be afraid of public restrooms.
this is one of those rare cases of a story where there's just like there is nothing to this. There is no like scientific possibilities of this happening. This is literally just an urban legend. Don't go into the last stall of a women's bathroom, particularly a women's school bathroom, and accept toilet paper from a stranger wearing a red cape and a white mask. do not accept red or blue toilet paper. Like, again, it's crazy how many things have to happen for this thing to like trigger. But yes, don't do any of those things and you're fine. Or just be like Jess and hover and bring your own toilet paper and like not
Don't trust people.
don't trust anybody.
Wait, so question.
And don't kick kids in the face if they do come under your toilet stall.
Yeah, don't kick kids. Adults.
I don't know.
But don't kick kids.
If I'm paying attention, I'm punting whatever starts crawling under
That's
my.
valid. I think his mom was in the next stall over, and he had like crawled out under the thing, and she was like, "Get back in here." But they're also speaking. They're speaking a different language. I don't know what it was. But so like my best guess is that like she brought him in the bathroom with her. He crawled out from under the stall. She was like, "Get back in here," and he crawled into the wrong one.
Okay.
And then like was just staring at me because he's like 2 years old and was expecting to see his mom, and I was not his mom. And then I was like, "Hi," you know. But so my question: what happens if there's only one stall? Is that the last stall?
I mean, it could potentially be the last stall. Yeah.
Like, do I have to pee in the sink at that point?
Probably. That would probably be the thing that saves you. Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. I have definitely peed in the sink.
I mean, I would just go pee outside if I could, but
I do. That's very freeing. I have fun doing that. I do that at night. It's like
must be nice.
it's like the one caveman thing that I do. I was just like, you know what? Peeing outside right now.
Must be nice.
It is. It's very nice. It's very nice and freeing. It feels very primal.
See, I don't know though. You're like, oh yeah, I go do that at night. I'm like, being outside at night.
I feel somewhat safe on my block. I get more and more paranoid every episode that we make of these, and so like at some point, this podcast is going to take away my joy of peeing at night. But at least right now, I feel comfortable peeing at night. Only at night though. Like I'm not going to do that in the daytime.
No.
I mean, I do it in the daytime, but like I'm very more particular where I do that in the daytime. Like I have to find like a lot, and I have to park in like the very corner of the lot, and it can't be like a very like busy lot. Like there's a lot of different things I have to do to make sure that like
No, we don't
I
need another
don't get.
Pokemon Go incident.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! That's a very different thing.
Well, what I'm
Don't
saying is,
mix
if you
those
happen to do
two.
that, what I'm saying is, if you happen to do that in like
That's
a slightly
indecent.
public area,
That's indecent exposure.
well,
That's
yeah, but it
not
would still have to do with,
kidnapping.
like,
The
you know,
police coming and talking
yes,
to me about something.
yes,
By the way, did I talk to you about the ending of that? So
probably, but it's been a while.
I don't think you have. No, because this is very new information to me. So I used to
Okay.
play Pokemon Go. Give me the short version of the story. I was a suspect, or not a suspect. I was a person of interest in a kidnapping. I play Pokemon Go a lot, and there was a kidnapping in the park that I go to a lot for Pokemon Go. There's to the
Pokestops.
to this day still no leads, all this kind of stuff. So like one of their last ditch efforts was just like, hey, let's dump the cell phone tower info, and then they dump the cell phone tower info, and they're like, wait, why is this dude always in the park?
Why is this grown man with no children always in the park?
Yes. So, like, I am a nocturnal person. I sleep during the day. So, like, I get a phone call from my mother at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, 9 o'clock in the morning for most people, that's my 4 a.m.
Yes.
So, like, they're like, the police are here. And I'm still half asleep. So, I'm just like, I'm not getting out of bed. If the police decide that they need to talk to me, they can come upstairs. And 30 seconds later, I hear boots on the stairs, and I'm like,
oh shit.
Okay, this is happening. And I'm questioned in my bed, and I have to explain to grown men what a Pikachu is and explain the process of Pokemon Go. And during if I don't know if anybody's ever been questioned by the police, at some point, the chit chat becomes a very pointed question. And then at some point I realize, oh, they're not here just to talk about Pokemon Go. They think I did something. And yeah, it's questioned by the police. I find out this happened years ago.
Like 2019. This is like pre-COVID.
Yeah. I find out like a couple of months ago. I'm hanging out with Holly, who was also one of the people questioned about this, because she was also in the park that day too, because she brought Shay to the zoo.
Right.
And I was just like, man, do you remember that thing? And she was like, oh yeah, it's a good thing that we were like the last two people on that list. I'm like, excuse me? And she was like, oh yeah, did I tell you that like the police officer told me that you were like, we weren't actually like suspects at all. We were literally just the last two people that they could possibly talk to, and they were just crossing us off the list.
Oh,
and I'm like,
did they ever actually figure out what happened to that kid though?
No, to this day it's still not a thing. But I was
Are they
like,
still missing?
Yeah, they're still missing.
Oh.
But I was like, wait, no, wait.
That's
so
sad.
so I've been like, I stopped playing Pokemon Go because I was just like, I refuse to be another kidnapping suspect. And they're like,
No.
oh yeah, no, you were never a suspect. They were just literally the last two people on the list, and they just had to like mark us off the list. And I'm like, I have been paranoid for years. I used to love Pokemon Go, and I haven't touched that game in like 5 years because I was just like, I refuse to be on someone else's list. And turns out I wasn't actually on a list. I was literally the last possible person on the list. They're just like, we just have to run it to ground.
Yeah. Just like cross everybody off.
Yeah, so I do feel better that it was just like, oh yeah, you were never actually suspected of this. It was just, we just need to do our due diligence and mark everyone off that list. But that's not what I was told when I was first being questioned. And then Holly didn't tell me this until like months ago. Not months later when it happened, months ago.
Wow.
So I'm just like, that was very pertinent information that you should have told me years ago.
Years ago.
And she was like,
Whoops.
yeah, you're probably right. Like, I
Oh
hate
my
you.
gosh. We love Holly. I
But
have
anyway,
a slightly less riveting story for you, but it relates to me being afraid to be outside at night.
okay.
I'll try to make it quick. So those of us that don't know, I live in the woods. And
Yes.
so like 2 nights ago I was letting my dog out, and normally I don't let our dog out at night. Like I make Tom do it because I'm too afraid to be outside at night.
Because you live in Appalachia.
Yeah, Appalachia. So, uh, I'm outside with the dog because he wasn't feeling well, and I'm like sitting there and I'm like, Mabel, oh my god, please hurry up. Like, I don't want to be out here. It is pitch black out here. Like, I just don't want to deal with this. And like, as soon as you look out my backyard, it's trees. It's a tree line. So like, to not be looking in the trees at night because you don't look in the trees, I have to look directly up at the sky, or I have to have my back to the trees. And I'm not putting my back to the trees.
No.
So here I am, like, just like looking directly up at the sky, like, oh my god, Mabel, will you please just go? And Mabel's a black lab, so like I have a flashlight out there so I don't lose her. And I'm like, I either have to look directly at the ground or directly up at the sky. So there I am, like hearing things in the woods, which were probably just deer, but I'm hearing things in the woods, and I'm
Or
like, oh my
foxes.
god, yeah, who knows, or some unexplained things that I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, okay, can we please hurry up? Oh my god, I don't want to be here. Like, freaking out. And I'm like, looking at the sky, and I'm like, Mabel, will you please just pee? And I look back down, like, I glance back down at the ground to see where she's at, because I will lose her if I don't, like, keep the flashlight on her. So it's a lot of, like, eye darting so that I'm not looking at things. And I turn the flashlight back around to find her, and I'm looking at her, and I make I make direct eye contact with her as she squats and lets out a loud fart.
Why do
And then I
dogs
just hear,
feel the need to like stare at us when they're pooping or farting?
yes, it was one of those, but even funnier than that, it was the prolonged eye contact that she made with me while it happened, and then all of a sudden there's just a bunch of sound in the woods, like it's running away.
I was like, it's
I
like
was like,
no.
well, at least I have Mabel here to protect me.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm still afraid to be outside at night, but as long as I have Mabel, things are afraid to come near us.
Well, there you go.
I wish I recorded that moment. It was so
Yeah.
funny. Like, I'm in tears. I come inside like in tears about this. And Tom's like, "What's wrong? What happened? What happened outside? Like, is everything okay?" And I'm like laughing too hard to explain it to him. Oh, dogs are great.
Dogs are great. But dogs are not going to be worrying about the Akamanto because like they never come to the bathroom. Or at least bathroom stalls.
Well, they don't need toilet paper.
They don't need toilet paper. But there you go, guys. There's like pay attention. Don't do one of these 29 different steps that you need to do, and then you'll be fine against the Akamanto. But if you do, man, you had this one coming. Like most of these, I'm just like, man, that's really bad luck. This one, if you get hit by the Akamanto and you died to the Akamanto, man,
You
you
made
had that
several
coming.
bad choices in a
You
row.
made 29 different bad choices in a row, and I am sorry.
But I'm not sorry
But
because we
I'm not
told you.
sorry because we told
We
you,
told you.
and
You
you
should
had
have been
like
listening.
you had so many off ramps to get off of, and you chose not to. And remember, last one out douses the fire. If you heard something, no, you didn't. If you're here with us next time, it means you made it through the morning.